up, everybody? It's your boy the Kryptonian Say in here, bringing you a review for One Piece Chapter 89. This chapter, Luffy's entrance at the end. That's almost up there when he just walked up to Arlong, chest all sticking out, eyes locked on the dude, talking about which one of you guys is Arlong, and just punches him, right? It's right up there with it. Not quite there because it didn't have quite the build up, but right there. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit. I want to get to the cover page. The cover page deals with Kobe and Himelimpo. And I thought it was interesting in the back that Axe Hand Morgan is sentenced to be getting put to death. So this is going to be my chapter question right now. Somebody let me know how heinous were the crimes that he committed to the point where he's being put to death. Because I remember he did some foul shit, but I didn't think that he did anything, that big to warrant death. And, I know you guys said that, Oda doesn't kill often. So for him to make it known that somebody's going to be put to death, and even if he doesn't die, I mean, that's still huge, Now, getting into this chapter, just period. So Sanji goes into the water to try to save Luffy, and turns out I was wrong. He does have enough momentum in his kicks, or he's able to generate enough force in his kicks to actually shatter the boulder. So that was nice to get confirmation on that, which brings into a question for me: why the fuck couldn't he do anything more when he was fighting against the fish dude if he was able to generate that much force? But then again, these guys are able to flip houses, so I guess that'd just be wasting strength at that point. But this is the thing about this chapter. Zoro and Usopp showed a lot of balls. A lot of balls in this fight. For Usopp, he's a hell of a marksman. And I think he might have really been aiming for Hachi and not really for Arlong. I think he was trying to get Arlong's attention in order to indirectly get Hachi's attention. That way he could strike him. Because again, he is the son of Yasopp, and Yasopp is a marksman, and Usopp, I mean, he's a marksman as well. So, I mean, that was nice to see, but the overall, what really resonated with me was Zoro. Now, Zoro knows that Arlong can take him out no problem, right? But just how I was very impressed with Luffy not having any chill, I was really impressed with the fact that Zoro, despite all those injuries he got from Mihawk, and in these last couple of fights that he had with Hachi and his brief skirmish with Arlong, he's still swinging that blade. And it goes back to what one of you guys told me, for him those blades are heavy because of the burden of the promises that he made. And so this is the thing. I just thought about this. He's got 3 blades, and he's made 3 promises. One to the chick that he was training with, the second one to Luffy when he was part of his crew, and now the third one to Mihawk to be the greatest swordsman ever. So that's what I mean, when you said the whole thing with burdens and the whole thing about 3 and 3 swords, and this is, I believe, the 3rd arc where he's been a middle. This is the 4th arc, so not quite. No, this will be the 3rd one because you have, well, no, this will be the 4th because the island Gaimon. But anyway, man, just getting into it. I was going to try to make a connection with 3. Didn't quite get it, man, but this is the thing about it. Zoro knows that he stands no chance against Arlong, and that makes just seeing his bandages, his wounds, and how cut up he is, and to see them shits opening up, Arlong holding him by the throat, that makes his battle and just his determination, his endurance, his will to live, that makes it that much more impressive. And I just want to point something out to you guys, man. You don't see scenes like this in modern day shonen too often, where guys are getting picked up by the throat, guys are, cut up that badly, stomped into the ground. You don't see stuff like that anymore, man. And I'm really wondering, 'cause I know One Piece has been around for a while, I'm wondering if this was in the late 90s, because that, this scene right here, because that's around the time that was the last bit that you started seeing that in the mainstream shonens, because they started cleaning the stuff up with the censorship and everything. So very, very very nice to see just this little throwback here. And you see Arlong reaching back to deliver the death blow. And I like Zoro's smart ass nature. He says lying still would have kept those wounds from opening up. And Arlong is saying, you're probably right. Is that your idea of a joke? He's actually referring to Hachi, who actually has his wounds open up in the water, which I thought was very interesting because Zoro himself started to dive into the water. And I know that he's an endurance or a stamina freak, but I think what happened to Hachi would have happened to him if he would have tried to go rescue Luffy. So with that being said, you know, Arlong said something to Zoro that I really wanted to touch on. You know, I wanted to make this whole chapter review more Zoro focused, but I feel like I've kind of dived into the different members of Luffy's crew at different points through the last couple arcs, where I don't want to get too far into Zoro because you guys have already kind of been there. You know, like I've kind of given my thoughts on Zoro more than once in this arc. But here's the thing. Arlong says that, you know, Zoro has the eyes of a dying man. And that really struck me. That really struck me as interesting because when people don't have anything to lose, that's when they're the most dangerous. You know, the advice I was giving somebody was if you have to bet on yourself, then you put everything on yourself, because at that point there's no turning back. You're going to give it your all. And with somebody like Zoro, who, you know, he might be an inch or two away from death, you know, that's very plausible. However, his loyalty to Luffy, his desire to stand next to him, that's what makes him dangerous. That's why Arlong, if Zoro had to fight, Zoro would find a way to win, no matter what. You know, even in that Mihawk situation, if Luffy was egging him on, or if it was for Luffy's sake, Zoro would have gotten back up and tried to continue the fight. And so just seeing this, you know, while there is a gap, you have to respect what Zoro's doing at this point. Now, to get to everyone's favorite knucklehead pirate. Okay, everyone's favorite unpredictable knucklehead pirate, Luffy. Gotta say this, man. When Luffy finally gets free, just his overly animated expression where he says, "I'm back," and right there, just that goofball nature. That is one of the reasons why I'm starting to like Luffy, man. Because you see how, again, he's inspiring everyone. You know, at first it was more of the fact that they knew he was coming, not actually seeing him. You know, the spirits have been lifted. It's almost like that scene in The Hobbit where everyone knew that the damn, I can't think of his name. It's not the troll. I can't remember, but the boys that were in the mountains, right? And they were coming out for the gold and all that. Well, not coming out for the gold. They had the gold, and they're coming out because it was the battle of the five armies, and they all came down there, and like the prince was like, "Look, we're coming, we're coming, we're coming," and they're fighting. And even though they were getting their asses whooped, it still inspired everyone. And we get this really cool shot where Luffy just comes out of nowhere, right? Grabs Zoro, uses his arms and stretches, grabs Zoro, and says, "Zoro, let's change places." And I'm going, what the fuck are you doing? Like, no, chill. That's the one thing you don't do, because if you're trading places, that means that you're going to grab Zoro, who is being held by his throat, and you're going to pull him. Who knows what type of damage that might have done to Zoro, but you're going to pull him and use Zoro to basically act as a anchor for you so you can propel yourself towards Arlong. And as a result, you're going to send Zoro flying through the air. Luffy, stop the Zoro abuse. That's all I got to say for that shit. But I got to say, man, the sequence of events that comes after that was pretty impressive, because you see Zoro being flown through the air, right? But Luffy's coming, And right there, man, like Luffy is using the headbutts, he's throwing the elbows. You know he is throwing some hard hitting blows, man. And at one point he's got a gum gum Gatling coming where he's just throwing punch after punch after punch. And because of that momentum and that speed that he's coming in, you know those are some serious blows. I don't care how tough Arlong is, you know that that did some type of damage. I think that's more of a Vegeta move where you sustain some damage, but you're not going to let it on because you need the psychological advantage. Because if you look right there, he's got some of his veins popping out. That lets you know that his defenses were up. And Luffy is saying that's just a warm-up. I mean, that's crazy. This looks like it's going to be an epic fight. Like, this looks like this is going to be one of those fights where you look back on it and it might mess around and be one of the better fights of One Piece. But overall, this was a pretty good chapter. My chapter question for you guys is going to be this. What were your thoughts when you saw the extent of Zoro's injuries? What were your thoughts and what did that do for you in terms of your appreciation for the character? But overall, that's it for this chapter. If you liked anything I had to say, as always, comment, rate, subscribe, and share. I'll greatly appreciate it. That's it. Thanks for watching Kryptonian Saying.